welcome back to another 978 Customs video. And today we got Spademan Wolf from the Spider-Verse. Let's just jump right into it. Wait a minute. This isn't Spademan Wolf. Hold on a minute. This ain't Spademan Wolf.
It was at this moment Pounds knew he had fucked up.
YouTube, welcome back to another 978 Customs video. And you can see I made a mistake. I thought this was the same wolf from the Spider-Verse, but apparently it isn't. And I just found out a couple minutes ago, so I'm not gonna act like I knew it all. Apparently, right, there's two versions. One called Werewolf Spider-Man from the old comic, the Marvel Zombies. I think it's Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness, Part 1, Issue 5. And then the other one is from the Spider-Verse. He only had one panel, so he's kind of exempt. But the differences are, I think, I can pull up the page really quick. Now, if you want to stop and read that description, feel free to read it. This is just something I found online. And it just gives you a rundown on the Lichen Spider, which is the modern Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse comic. So that one is not the one I made. I made the older one. I took the reference shot from the Marvel Zombies comic. So that's the spider I worked off. But I was calling him Spademan Wolf the whole time. And you can see that this one has a mask on, and the Lichen Spider from the Spider-Verse comic did not have a mask on. And he was defeated in that one page. So again, the differences were the Lichen Spider from the Spider-Verse comic was killed by Karn. And then the Werewolf Spider-Man from Marvel Zombies was with 4 other werewolves. I think they went out to attack Doom or whoever else. So let's move on. This is definitely a pretty cool custom. I gotta say I like it. I'm pretty impressed with it. It's a simple design. It's just a regular Spider-Man, blue and red. I decided to go with a darker blue on this one. And we gave him some alternate hands as well. These hands belong to Venom. They're just Venom hands. Oh, so this is the Venom hands, and I sculpted some wolf fur, just kind of bursting out of the glove a little bit. And the fur kind of matches this fur a bit. But yeah, to get into the figure really quick, what I did was I took the jackal body. The minute I saw it, I already knew what I was gonna do with it, and I decided to make this. I was worried at first because the jackal's shoulders are a little funny. They have some extra plastic up here, so I thought I would need to sand it. And so I sanded one and not the other. And I'll get to that afterwards on why I did that. But the jackal body is great for this particular custom. If y'all want to make the Spider Wolf, jackal body is the way to go because he has these nice claw feet, claw hands, fur all over the place. And the sculpt, I worked around the articulation points purposely so it wouldn't affect any articulation or create any rubs. So I tried my best on that part, and again, I'll show you that when we move along. But that's what I did. I just gave him some Venom hands, some abs epoxy sculpt, feet, calves, legs, thigh, hands, wrists, abs, chest, shoulder, forearms, and the eyes. This head is actually an older head that I had for an older custom. I had it in another video, but I want to make new eyes, and so I was looking to buy a new head, and luckily some dude from the fodder box, shout out to you, Phoenix, sent me this head for free, and he shipped it to me for free, so I appreciate that. And this is what I like about the community, man. There's people out there willing to help other people, even if you're strangers. So I respect that, man. I appreciate that very much. And what we do is we usually pay forward. So when people give you something, you got to give something in return. And if it's not to him, it's to someone else. So I'll definitely pay it forward. Thanks again, man. But that's what I want to do. Just sculpt some new eyes around this guy, because these eyes look a little, they don't look bad, but I've actually had another wolf spider. And if you want, I can compare those eyes to these eyes. So the eyes on the first one are just a little more rounded, where these are just more triangular shaped. Still have rounded edges, but they're just more triangular. And they're not bad, but I like the more conventional Spider-Man round eyes. So enough talking, and let's just pull this custom up, pull him up to the front, get a better look at him. So here he is, Wolf Spider. And again, it's the Jackal's body, some abs epoxy all around the legs. And abs epoxy on pretty much everything you see here. And I just tried to just not hit the articulation points, but just work around them. So you can see here, I sanded this first arm down because I knew I wasn't gonna have to use it like that. I thought I was just gonna have to sculpt all over it again. Then realizing if I sculpt over this arm, it would create problems with rubbing. So I didn't. I just created some sculpt on certain parts where I knew it wouldn't really rub, regardless in what direction you took it. You can see in this gap where the rubbing is going to happen, if it does happen. And it did happen here, right at this corner. So I had to sand down in between this arm a bit just to kind of prevent that again. And real quick, just to kind of match up these heads, what I did was cut the back off. I probably cut a little more up just to even it out, but the reason why is just so I can allow it to look up, because without that you don't really get much head movement because the hair blocks it from moving. So I had to cut it that way. But I do like the Spider, and it's 2017, so I had to step it up a little bit, and I said, damn, I guess I gotta go for it. And now that I did this, I kind of want to do a Spider Hulk, but I'll leave that for another day. You can see that these hands do come off. These are Jackal hands. And Venom hands, we all know, are different than Jackal hands. But I shaved down the tips a bit just to kind of match them up as best as I could. Just squeeze them in there. And they snap in perfectly. And you see they pop off, they pop in. They don't just fall in and out. But they look really good. They're pretty sizable. They match up well. So the fists do look good. I'm gonna put both fists in. I can do that. And I did give it a slight shading on the fur. I don't know if you can see really well. I might have to just tone down this lighting a bit. But you can see that it is 2-3 different colors. You can only probably see 2 colors here. But there is definitely some type of little shading. I do like this figure a lot. I gotta say, it's probably one of my top 3s now. Probably my #1 figure because of the sculpt aspect and the articulation of the Jackal body. I like the Jackal body. It's not my #1 actually. I take that back. Top 5, top 3, but I definitely like this custom a lot. If you want to see it before I sculpted it, right? Let me show you what let me just give you a piece of my mind when I was putting it together. I applied the sculpt on the top of the chest first and didn't do the ab yet because I was wondering where it would work. And so when I applied it to the abs, you can see I left that gap right here on the left side, his right side, because when the crunch goes down, I'll give you a quick example. When the crunch goes down, it always rubbed somewhere right there. So I just sanded it down and I cut it off all the way. Well, a little bit. And then I moved on to the arms and the legs. And I wanted to do both of the arms differently as well as both legs differently. So on his left arm, I gave him like a sleeve, and on his right arm, the sleeve is kind of gone, a short sleeve. It's ripped everywhere, but he has no right sleeve. And that's it pretty much. The back is also just the same thing. I just kind of came up with it myself, trying to figure out what would make sense when you're connecting the hanging threads. I did some sculpting in the back. Oh, we got a little rub spot. I see it. See it? You guys see it? Right there. Right there. From that. So I'm going to have to work on that little tiny piece. But overall, it did hold up pretty well. I have some sculpting in here in the middle. And I did in the center because that was where the biggest gap is. If I did anywhere on the sides or the edges, I'd probably have to do it really thin. This design was based off that spider, the werewolf Spider-Man, because you can see the rips on his shirt that go around to his back. Almost like he ripped it himself in aggravation of growing, and grabbed his claws and just like, well, I don't know if he got to a fight. I don't know what happened, but that's just the way he already was in the comic. My favorite part I want to say is this leg. It's a subtle sculpt right there on that thigh piece, but it just looks like it came that way. So that's probably one of my favorite parts on it. The knee as well. Painted his toenails, gave him his little pedicure. So I gave him a manicure too. But yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it looked like his own claw just said, I painted in his, inside his ear. Whereas this one is not painted. So I wanted to get this out. This took me a very long time to do. This is actually a four-day project, and I mean like 4 days all day, because of the sculpting and the preparation, and just making sure nothing was gonna rub. I didn't want to put so much time into a figure that was just gonna rub, so I took my time and I tried to eliminate all the rubbing. You can see that one spot in the back didn't work out for me, so that one little tiny place, a little green dot, I'm gonna have to fix that. It's bugging me. But other than that, I think it worked out well. It's a great custom. It's a great body to use if you want to do this custom. So again, guys, I recommend you go pick up a Jackal body, a wolf cap head. If you got some Venom hands, that works for some extra fist. If you want, I could compare him to Spider-Man. There he is. You can see I didn't use Pizza Spider-Man because I wanted to show you that these blues are more compatible than Spider-Man blue. If you want, I could just add Spider-Man for the fun. You can see Pizza Spider-Man's blues a little brighter, where these guys are more navy. All right, get him out of there. So when you compare these guys, they look alike. They look pretty similar. They are not identical. I think my blue's a little more like grapish, vibrant. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is flat. This is flat. This is a little more glossy as well. I tried to give it that flat look because I knew that I wanted to line him up with this and not Pizza Spider-Man, because he is a little less glossy than Pizza Spider-Man. You see, Pizza Spider-Man is just a tad more glossier in the red areas, where this one isn't. So they do match up well. That's pretty much what I got for you today, guys. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe and click the notifications to get the videos when you do subscribe. And I am going to upload a new list. It'll probably be my next video, so stay tuned for that. Again, guys, appreciate it. You have a good one.